Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast, episode number 124. This is actually going to be a really fun one today. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I have two people on here that are both friends. We've worked together. They're both straight degens. I've respected them for a long time and really like these guys. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. We have CoolMatt.eth and we have ol1y.eth, who is ol1y, formerly Neosporin. If you're in the NFT Catcher Discord, of course, you know Ollie. Well, what's up, guys? Welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having us on.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, super exciting. Thanks, Mike.
It's awesome, man. Nah, I'm excited. And like I said, I've worked with both of you guys. I've known both of you guys. I consider you guys friends. Matt, we've known each other for a year and a half now. Worked on a couple projects.
Yeah. In the NFT space, that's like 10 years, right?
It is, exactly. It's a long time. We haven't actually met in person, though. We were close a couple times. I think you were at that first Art Basel. For whatever reason, we didn't make it happen. But Ollie, I hung out with in London, and we talked about this on the pod, but he was an amazing host. We spent the day, went out, got a nice meal, walked around the town. He gave me the 50-cent tour of the city.
I think you knew more than I did, to be fair.
Well, no, remember we were standing. I was like, that building looks familiar, right? He said, yeah, that's what was it, Westminster Abbey?
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. No, it was a really good time. I really enjoyed that, and I appreciated that. It's nice to hang out with a local. But no, this is great. So there's no shortage of things to talk about. The reason this actually came about, because I don't know if you guys ever knew each other really before, but I saw you guys having a nice little back and forth about
royalties.
About create.
Yeah,
was it royalty? Was it creator royalties? Yes. About the open editions. About the open editions. Yeah.
I didn't realize it was Neosporin, man.
Yeah, that's
little name change.
Yeah, and I saw you guys. It was like a nice
legend.
Yeah, absolute legend. And it was a nice, respectful back and forth, and I was like, you know what, that would be a really good combo to have on the pod. Why don't each of you guys do a quick intro of yourselves, and then we can get into the topic.
Okay, I'm flattered. My name is actually Matt, CoolMatt.eth on Twitter. Started really degenning kind of in March of 2021. Buying art in such a nifty gateway. Now I do this full time. It's been pretty fun, pretty hectic. And yeah, just happy to be along for the ride. I've helped launch a couple projects with marketing and such with Michael, and most recently did the Pals Universe, which was a free mint. I think it peaked around 7.08 Ether floor. So nice reward for the holders there. And yeah, just help out with launching random projects as I find an interest in them. And yeah, happy to be on the podcast. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, pleasure, man. And Matt's always like, I can say the same thing about both of you guys. You guys are in early on a lot of different things. Like everything that I was looking at after we met Matt, like everything I'm looking at, Matt's like already in it and already like whatever it is. You had a whole bunch of rangas and one thing I really remembered is when you crushed the fuck crystals. Didn't you buy like 8 of those?
Yeah.
And then you sold them like at the top. I know. That was a long one ago, but that was an impressive move because you were like playing with the high gas, but you're flipping them for big money. That was what's up.
It was crazy times, right? When gas was like 8,000 regularly for every single drop, and we were just like, "Fuck it, hit the gas." Yeah, exactly. Those are good times, man. We were just buying a couple of everything.
Oh my god! So, Ollie, what's your story, brother?
Yeah, so I guess I came from a background sort of similar to you, but not tickets, instead sneakers and kind of clothing and that side of things. So I was kind of buying and selling sneakers. Kind of was aware of NFTs and crypto, but never really kind of into it properly. And then probably around November 2021, I was just kind of had my phone in my hand, and a little notification came through on the Adidas confirmed app where you used to be able to buy Yeezys, not anymore, but used to back then. And it was, put your email address in. We're doing something in the metaverse. Put your email in, and you'll be able to claim something. And that turned out to be a PO app, the kind of their first NFT they launched, and that then became kind of the allow list for into the metaverse. I ended up selling that for 0.7 ETH, I think. So it's probably around $1,800 at the time. And that made me think, oh, okay, this may be some money to be made here. So really kind of joined the space mainly looking at kind of the money and the potential to do that, and a lot less logistical difficulties you have with physical sneakers and clothing you're trying to kind of buy and sell. So that was kind of my introduction. Really found the podcast. I was looking for a way to kind of get up to speed on the space and kind of.
How'd you find the podcast?
I think I was just searching kind of the kind of podcast app, and just typed NFT in, listened to a couple, but just didn't really kind of vibe with them, and then came across the NFT Catcher podcast, you and Jenny, and immediately I was kind of enjoying it, and just started listening from there. So that was probably maybe kind of episode 35 or so, I'd say, probably back then, thinking off the top of my head. But yeah, kind of just started listening every episode, listened to kind of the back episodes as well to hear what happened before I'd kind of got myself in. That was where I heard about Smilesverse. Obviously, as you know, I kind of I've owned a few of those in my time. Not so many now, but quite a few at the peak. So yeah, kind of found the podcast and obviously joined the Discord and started chatting to people, and that's, I guess, how we got kind of introduced. That's really awesome. And I could say the same thing about you, how you're like, I'm always impressed how about all the projects coming down the pike. You're always in early, like you had us all in Valhalla and like all that different stuff. Didn't you mint like 20 checks? Weren't you saying that? 10
checks, okay, and then gave them away.
I don't like to talk about it.
All of them? You didn't even keep one? Come on.
No, I had.
It's okay.
10,
I sold mine.
I had 10 for $80. And
I sold mine all under 0.1, so it makes you feel better.
God.
Yeah, I sold them well below 0.1. So I've been kicking myself. I realized I think I probably could have had about 16 ETH or so. Well, more than that, I guess. I that's not to think about it, but
can't win them all.
Exactly. There's always another one around the corner.
There will be
generational wealth tomorrow.
Exactly.
That's pretty funny. So let's get into some of the news. I mean, the major story everybody's talking about are these, quote unquote marketplace wars. Blur has been outpacing OpenSea at this point in volume. We don't need to talk about if it's legit or not, whatever it is, but they are. And OpenSea kind of fought back and got rid of their 2.5% and are making royalties optional. I guess, what are your guys' high level thoughts on what's going on here?
I think on the Blur side, I mean, I think it's quite clear what's obviously what's happening there, with money just being kind of siphoned through, and with I think they were always going to go out in front, given the kind of announcement that they were going to be providing some kind of rewards back to to people who are participating in the marketplace. And so that's interesting. I think I guess it was only really a matter of time before OpenSea took that kind of same stance, because all of the volume had gone to Blur, and OpenSea were kind of left behind. To be honest, I personally still continued buying and selling things on OpenSea over Blur. I mean, I use Blur a bit, but not a lot. But yeah, it's I mean, I think a lot of people were foreseeing that we were going to end up, it was going to be the race to zero on the marketplace side, at least. But it's a shame to see that's the way the kind of creator royalty seems to have gone as well.
Yeah, it seems like
alongside
maybe it was inevitable, but it's just interesting that like Blur at this point, right, because of their huge market share, they're kind of accelerating the move to NFTs just being shitcoins with pictures, right? Which is what everyone has said for a while, right? And NFTs were different. There were royalties, there was utility, and all those, right? Everything that comes with having NFTs be tokens and when Blur's really just accelerated that transition to they're kind of just like coins now, right? That's how a lot of traders are treating them. There's almost no royalty. You trade in and out of them, and Blur even had to add that 3 hour, you can't resell something that you recently transferred or bought within, I think it's 1 hour now, right? But when they started it, it was 3 hours, right? So they purposely were adding these things because it was not necessarily wash trading, I would say, but it's just people trading in and out of collections, right, to farm points. And even some, potentially for gains, right? You have some of these whales buying hundreds at a time. Like just last night, I saw some wallet, I think it was Anon, bought like over 200 Rangas, right? And the floor went up by like 0.2-ish, and then they started to sell them, right? We saw the same thing with Cool Cats and others. So they're like, because
did you see
NFTs
Franklin bought 600 beans the other day and sold them off.
Saw that. He swept, I think,
quite
over
the
150
move,
Cool Cats. He's making moves.
Yeah, he is.
But then what's interesting, right, is traditionally you say, oh, that's bullish for the community, right? Like, oh, that's great. He must think that beans are going to rise, or, oh, he must think the Cool Cats are going to come back. But I don't think that, right? I just think he's kind of, I don't want to say manipulating the market because that's rude, but he's, he's taking advantage of current market conditions.
No, he is.
Right?
He'd probably say it too. I mean, it is market manipulation. Like when we did tickets, like if we controlled, 10% of the venue, 5% of the venue, we would do the same thing as well. We would keep the price low when we wanted it to be to get other people out. We would, start jacking prices to clear people out. Like it's part of the game.
Right. You just didn't expect it with NFTs, right? Like eventually maybe.
Right.
I was just going to say what seems kind of surprising to me really is that, I mean, I might be wrong, but it doesn't feel like it's the consumers or the collectors that have driven the royalty option to zero. It feels like the kind of marketplaces have kind of gone with that, seeing as that to be a kind of draw people. I mean, back in the bull, I don't remember anyone complaining about paying their percentage. You just took that into account when you went into a trade. You knew, okay, call it 10%, and you do your calculations off that. Whether you're in profit or down. So it's sad to see that's kind of how quickly that's gone. I mean, that I came from a background of kind of creative graphic design and photography, was what I kind of studied at university. And one of the things that kind of drew me to NFTs was, the royalties and the idea that, artists who historically would have kind of started to make a name for themselves and start to kind of see their work change hands, and then for whatever reason they may have lost the spark, and stopped producing work, but because the supply is reduced, all of a sudden their work is changing hands for tens or hundreds of thousands, and they're left, with nothing effectively. So the idea that there was something that should kind of protect that from happening, or, if an artist passed away and that money continued to be sort of provided to their family, that was a kind of draw for me, and something that I would use as an example if I had to explain to one of my kind of normie friends about NFTs. That was a use case that I would use to try and explain, and that was the one that I guess was the easiest for them to go, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. I get that. So it's a real shame. I think there's a distinct difference between the application of royalties. I mean, Mike, I've I joined mainly for the flips and wasn't really so much looking at the art per se, and didn't really buy much kind of pure art, digital art for quite a long time, and then that's kind of changed for me quite a bit, probably about 4 months or so ago. I've been, I pretty much sold most of my non kind of art focused NFTs, and so I guess it's kind of, I guess it's how you apply those royalties and the differences between, an artist who's been kind of putting out work for a long time and them asking for their 10%, versus a project comes out of nowhere with some kind of quick, put together artwork and they're looking at, 5 to 10%. I feel like there's kind of a difference there between, 10% for an artist who's producing their own work and marketing their own kind of craft versus, a project that's spun up to ultimately make money, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. I hear that. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
I totally agree. And I don't think royalties are dead, actually. This is I think it's going to be an interesting inflection point, right? Where maybe we start to see marketplaces dedicated to art that enforce royalties, right? And people saying, maybe rightfully so, it's hard to say, that NFTs weren't really meant to be, right, just art, right? And a lot of the collectors don't, a lot of the collectors right now are flippers, including myself, right? They don't necessarily want to play royalties. And we've seen some of the data, right? That as Blur got introduced and got bigger, the number of people that were optionally paying royalties basically went to zero. And so if that's how these collections are going to be, right? The PFTs and the other utility focused things where people aren't going to pay royalties, maybe that just is what it is. And that's, that's how NFTs evolve. And then we have, a separate section of NFTs where there's artists selling art on dedicated marketplaces like Nifty Gateway, where I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of new ones helping to support artists and enforcing royalties and banning other marketplaces so that they can continue to earn a living, right? Those the artists that are here to be artists in Web3 and not necessarily, launching big projects or have VC funding or all those other things. So yeah, I think it's just going to be an evolution of the space. Not necessarily bad, but as the optional royalties were introduced, people stopped paying them, and a lot of them didn't use those funds appropriately anyway. So you could argue that royalties aren't really, then they weren't necessarily helping the space overall, right? Anyway.
Yeah, no, you guys both make a lot of really good points. I mean, to what Ollie was saying, I agree for sure. The biggest travesty is a lot of people were brought into the space as artists because, hey, the royalties, it's baked into the contract, smart contract, trustless. And then we realize, no, not really. These marketplaces are going to take that away. I'm definitely a big proponent of artist royalties. I think that is one of the really great things about this. I understand people not if you have a project that you bought high and the founders aren't doing anything and you just want to dump it. I understand you not wanting to pay royalties on that, but as far as overall, hopefully we figure out a way. I guess there's probably going to be Manifold's probably going to come out with a contract that guarantees your royalties somehow, where they you can only use it on certain sites that will give them to you. I don't know exactly.
For sure. Or new marketplaces. There will be a solution for artists.
Right. There'll be a solution for artists. But in the bull run, there was actually with VFriends, and they're at 10%. There was a lot of over-the-counter trading with VFriends, just because people were skirting that. So there was always an appetite to skirt the fees. I remember anytime I would list a VFriend, I would get a bunch of DMs hey, come over here and I'll buy it from you. I'll never deal with any of those people, but
cheaper on X2Y2 and all those other, scam
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, the one that started was SudoSwap, I think. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And that was a bit, it was a bit ropey. It wasn't as straightforward as doing something through X2Y2 or one of the other sites. It was a bit, you almost had to create a pool, I think.
Really?
Yeah, you have to create a liquidity pool just to sell it. Yeah. Blur basically just made it easy to sell something with no royalties, right? And everyone kind of hopped on.
Yeah, I think there's been some interesting ideas thrown out of kind of how royalties might work moving forward, kind of alternatives, I guess. I think, Mike, you'd mentioned on one of the previous podcast episode, the idea that you could have a kind of a scaled royalty that was based on sort of price difference at the time. I completely agree. I think if you're in a situation where you bought something at the top, and for one reason or another you need to sell that thing, then obviously if you're selling it for a loss, it's kind of feels like a bit of a pain to then have to lose.
You get double burned, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think the idea that the buyer pays the royalties is an interesting one. I heard that kind of thrown out there on Coffee with Captain this morning, and I think it's an interesting idea because I've especially in kind of trying to acquire art, I've come across people who have obviously wanted, so that they're not, it's not costing them as much, they're wanting to kind of work around those royalties so that they're willing to do it cheaper, but through either a 0% marketplace or over the counter, and in those scenarios I've ended up just actually personally paying the royalties to the artist. In some cases they take it, in some cases they just say no, just keep it and buy some art with it.
That's great.
I would rather be in a position where I'm upfront about it. There are people who don't necessarily want to do that, and that's kind of their kind of prerogative. But I think I've kind of switched my focus more trying to find kind of upcoming artists and artists from different parts of the world who may be selling a piece for 0.1, 0.2 ETH makes a big difference to them, and trying to kind of get their work out there a bit more. So yeah, I'm definitely more on the side that I think, at least for the kind of pure sort of artists putting their work out there, it's a shame to see that being kind of skirted around. Especially, I'm sure we'll get onto it in more detail, but the topic of mine and Matt's back and forth was kind of around open editions and artists who've come out and kind of used that vehicle, I guess, to sell work. That seemed to kind of signal the beginning of the move of more of the degen market into art, because they saw, hang on a minute, that minted for 0.1 and now it's an ETH. That's a good trade. So all of a sudden the spotlight's on the art market, and the people flood to that area, and that has resulted in a lot of the kind of the floor destroying and kind of paper handing, and that we've started to see move over into the art market.
Yeah, this is from my perspective. Like I saw that coming, right? I don't know if artists intentionally created this little like bubble of art, but it was so obvious with like the level of activity that their current collections were trading at versus like these new open editions, right? And that was the genesis of my tweet. Is like I could see from a mile away that all of these artists, intentionally or unintentionally, were cashing in on this open edition meta, and people weren't buying it for the art, right? People don't mint 20,000 works of art. Everyone. The vast majority of people were not minting for the art. They were minting for the speculation of the rise and floor. And you could see, I mean, right, it's one thing when it's kind of a different chain, right? Lucrece is an interesting example because his works trade much lower on the Tezos platform, but Tezos isn't really a very active platform. I'm there and I have a bunch of art there, but like the majority of ETH traders don't bother. But then there's, you have others, and I don't like to call out names, but, people like Ness and Fuck Render and some of these OG and Mad Dog Jones, a bunch of these like OG Nifty Gateway artists, you could easily see that they were trading on the Ethereum network. You could see what their value, right, their general value was for an edition. And then you could see that these open editions were massively overprinted and they're basically worthless, right? And so a lot of my, like, I was angry about this situation, right? Not necessarily just from the artist perspective, but from the collectors, like mass minting these things and making them worthless. And that was kind of the genesis of my tweet. Like, all of these things are under floor, and most of them honestly are worthless if you look at like the value of the open edition and the number of editions that have been minted versus their other works. Like a lot of those that were minted during that bubble are worthless.
I think you could definitely look at it as like you say, that kind of price difference. One of two things: either it's been oversold as an open edition, or there's suddenly some really good bargains to be had on the smaller edition size works from those artists, or even one of ones. That may only be not a huge amount less than some of the open edition pieces. I think
you could say some of it's undervalued too, right? Some of the artists' works. What's interesting is like this open edition meta came right off the bat of the memes, right? Memes by 6529, where we had all of these memes with a 4 with an 1,000 edition that was higher. Like the floor price of the 1,000 edition was higher than a 1 of 1 from the same artist, right?
Yeah,
and it just didn't make any type of sense. And in some cases, for sure, like the artist's works were undervalued, but also, the memes have come plummeting down. So it was just some crazy valuation.
And I think you can understand from an artist's perspective, if you're seeing this happen, you may look at it and think, I've got a kind of limited time window where I can put out something like this, and it may sell 20, it may sell 100, it may sell 1,000, but there was that window. I mean, people are still putting out open editions, but it's definitely not on the same scale as they were during the kind of peak of open edition mania. I definitely agreed with your point that there's ways of doing it, and if you put something out with a minute window, that people are going to look at that, and it's going to get botted. Whereas if you put something open for 24 hours and it's a reasonable price, it's completely down to the buyer as to whether they buy 1, 10, or don't buy any at all.
Absolutely,
kind of up to them. But there definitely were some activities that were kind of driving hype into the market, and like you say, some of that.
5-7 minute windows, even 1 hour windows, right? And just like all of a sudden changing your Twitter to be like, oh my God, so excited. Been working on this for the last 2 weeks and it's now my life's purpose, right? And as they start to plummet to zero, it just disappears. It was like an obvious mania bubble. And some artists that were driving it, and some, like you say, that were just like, oh my God, I only have a limited window. And this looks like a great opportunity. So
I think I like the analogy that these are like for posters,
that's exactly right.
Especially the lower price ones. I mean, some of these artists, people wouldn't think twice of kind of, I guess, during the bull and Nifty Gateways heyday. People were comfortably paying $100 to $200, for an open edition. Some of those artists did very well. Grant Yun, that was a $300 open edition that 10x'd or more, the following day. But obviously there were also a lot that didn't necessarily go in that direction. But
probably the majority, right? That's kind of part of the reason Nifty Gateway isn't as popular, right? Most of those things went to zero, and they knew it would.
Right.
Grimes, Elon Musk's ex-wife, did she did an open edition for like $4,000, right? And it's
I think it was $7,500 if I remember correctly.
God. I think the last sale's like $50 on it.
Wow, that's a good good tax loss harvest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like at that point, of course you're an artist, right? People buy for the art, etc. But there's some level of negligence, in my opinion, when you're selling a $7,500 open edition that you have no interest in supporting. And once it crashes to zero, right? Like you see which artists are supporting their collectors and which aren't. Grimes obviously one that is not.
Nah, she's not too worried about it. Yeah, it was definitely like, I hear what you guys are saying. There were definitely some, like, I just remember seeing artists, okay, here's my open edition. Like it was just like kind of like the thing to do is to drop one of these, like pick a piece of art, put it out there, see how many people will buy it.
Make $1 million, and then it is what it is.
I mean, there's probably only a couple made $1 million, right? Like, I mean, obviously Ness and Vincent Van Gogh, but there were definitely like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Like, Like even like our buddy NFTs Anonymous, he did one. He's still working on it, but he made like 60 grand or something on it. Just like blank check.
Yeah.
Bam.
Anyway, it was basically a blank check season, right? So it's hard to blame people. But
I know.
It'll also be interesting to see like what is the long-term impact for some of those bigger artists like Ness and Fuck Render. Like I could speculate that I don't think those, even the smaller editions, will do very well in the long term, because you have these giant open editions that are probably going to a very low amount versus what it was minted at. So, but it is what it is.
And the bottom line always is, no one's putting a gun to your head. You don't have to mint these things. You don't have to FOMO in. I've bought very little of it. A couple of the ones that I liked, and that was really it. Like, there
was no need to do all that.
Yeah,
it was
you
collector's
didn't have,
fault too, right?
Yeah, it's a collector's fault, right? I mean, that one that sold 250,000 of them, that was crazy. Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Like that's a lot of NFTs. Whew. And
good for him.
Good for him.
Dollar,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, of course. He made more than he made more than Jack Butcher made. Yeah. Like a lot more.
That's hilarious.
I guess the interesting thing there is that Vincent Van Gogh, you could straight away see that money being spent, on high ticket items. He went shopping after that. I'm trying to think what the last thing I saw he bought was, but he's certainly using that money, and it's staying in the ecosystem, at least in the art side of things.
Well, I'm glad I could buy him a Bored Ape then.
Yeah.
At least make sure he gets a Fidenza or something.
I'm sure he's got some.
Yeah,
probably does. He's probably got a nice collection.
So I made 100 ETH. That's what I'd buy as a Fidenza. So at least support dope art.
All right, so let's move on to some new news. So whoever was paying attention to Dookie Dash, we saw that Mongrel, who I guess is the #1 Fortnite player in the world,
in his heyday.
He got the high score and he won the key. The one-of-one Yuga asset. I actually told my son about him. I was like, there's this guy that plays Fortnite, just made $1 million. I told him, but
at least
I know exactly. Yeah. So he's got the key, and I think he listed it for like $4 million. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tried to find a fish, but so G Funk came out the other day and said the Up DAO, which is the Pixel Vault Planets, that's the DAO that they have, is going to place a bid on it of a little over $1 million. They went to vote. It went through. You were putting that in the notes, Ollie.
Yep.
And I actually I was in a space with VGF on Friday night, and I asked them about it. And, that Up DAO actually has 7,000 ETH in their treasury. So it's not like it's the end of the world. I know. It's not like it's the end of the world for them. They can do that. And it sounds like they're going to buy it.
They were talking about, they were wondering whether they would just go for it, just buy it at 2,222.
Right. Where they, but it's smarter to make an offer.
690.
Yeah.
690 is still a great offer.
Approved on.
Yeah, that's a solid offer for this. This kid's got to take it. Like, don't play games, and you know what I mean? Because I don't know. Like, it's also like it'll be a big news story if he sells it, and like all these Fortnite players are going to be like, "Damn, dude just made $1 million from playing."
Yeah, that's only one. He's got. If you look at his wallet.
Yeah, I know. He had like 4 to top 10 or something.
Passes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
I think Pixel Vault doesn't have the best reputation at the moment, right? With floors down and everything. But I happen to think this move is pretty brilliant, right? Like it'll propel them back into the spotlight. The fact that they have this giant DAO, it's a good use of their funds, right?
Yeah.
They're also trying to launch a game, and getting Mongrel and the fact that he made $1 million playing this NFT game in the headlines, like it's good news all around. So I do hope he takes it. I think it's a smart move.
He might try and get him up to like 1,000 ETH. You know what I mean?
If they have 7,000, they can afford it.
Right?
It a little bit.
It's no
Negotiate,
big deal.
do what you got to do.
I know.
Yeah, their cards are bare. That's the problem.
Yuga's got some. They got to figure out what this key is going to do. It better do something good. You better get like the one mega mecha or something. I don't know. Like They
I heard
better.
speculation you could get a share of the ape that was spent in game, which I think would be pretty cool. But who knows? What the
Yeah.
key will unlock. If it's nothing,
Interesting.
that'd be hilarious too.
That'd be quite the troll. It's just a
Yeah.
key, bro.
It's just a key. You're just buying for the art,
Yeah,
right? That's what
it's
everyone on
fine.
Twitter tells me.
Yeah. It's art.
Buy it for the art.
It's art, bro. That's hilarious.
But no, I'm sure they have something planned.
Yeah. Let's get into a little more like about you guys and your kind of market. Like, I do really think both of you are good traders and really good at learning about things. I'd love to know, how do you find about projects so early, and what tips you off to make you think they're good? Ollie, I guess you can go first. We can work in that cadence.
Sure. So I probably doing it less so now. I mean, I guess I kind of hit my stride around the kind of Valhalla time. There was a couple of good projects to get involved in. I try and keep my kind of Twitter timeline quite curated in terms of who I'm following and what I want to see. So I tend to see, things through there, or at least I did. It's more pretty much all artists now that I'm following. But yeah, I mean, I kind of have a few groups I'm in, kind of small groups, people who are kind of like-minded and looking to kind of hear about they've got ideas of projects that are coming up. I think there's probably less than there were. Well, they're definitely less than there were during the bull run. So it's probably easier to kind of pick the ones that you think are likely to do well. I mean, I tend to start off by, joining a Discord and kind of getting a feel for what the community's like, and kind of go from there, really. I'd say I'm kind of less so. I'm sure Matt's probably more involved in projects that are coming up. I mean, I don't think I've got any really on my.
It's kind of a dry slate at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a couple, kind of early on, I guess, that have come up. But yeah, what about you, Matt?
It's an interesting question. It's really hard to answer, right? Because every project is slightly different. But I tend to be a bit of a inverse trader, right? And so when everyone is saying, buy this is the next blue chip, that's what we're hearing with checks right now. I own 0 checks. I have 0 intention to buy any checks or OPIPs. When everyone says this is the next holy grail, this is going to 10 ETH, I tend to stay away because the methods tend to be wrong a lot, especially within the NFT space, right? You saw that with goblins and with so many examples I can't even rack my brain trying to think of. And so, yeah, when everyone says this is great, I tend to stay away, and just the opposite, right? When things are fudded a lot, if I really have conviction in the team, if I see that there is potential in the long term, that's where I'll start to, I'll place some bigger bets and hope that they pay off. And so Valhalla was a great one, right? Yeah. Where it had massive hype. This was the biggest project. It was going to change the space. And then it came out and it kind of flopped, right? Like no one, it took a while to mint out. Everyone was saying that the team was ruggers. It eventually ended up pre-reveal going to mint price and even under mint price for a bit as some whale unloaded, I think over 100 of them. And it was around that time that I bought, I think between 0.7 and 0.5, I bought around 10 of them. Right? And part of that reason was just the conviction that this is a great team, right? They have like an LLC. I think they had 10 full-time guys on it. There was just no way that it was going to 0 that fast. And this was pre-reveal, right? So the potential to roll the lottery and get a rare one. And I did, I sold most of my Valhallas for 1 Ether or more. So that was like a nice 2x. And it was part of just like seeing that inverse, right? That everyone's saying this is going to 0, but there wasn't a real. I didn't believe the reasons. It was very similar to Ranga, actually. If people remember, like when Ranga launched, there was a lot of FUD that the co-founder had been fired, and he had taken a lot of the funds and the team with him, and the Ranga team was essentially a shell, and there was nothing there. And what I saw was there was an artist, right, that's been working for years on his craft. There was full-time staff working on it, and the art was just incredible. And so I bought a bunch of Rangos super early, really towards the bottom, like not because I'm an expert trader. I kind of got lucky, but I was seeing that everyone was saying, this Rango project is shit and it's not going anywhere. And it's just not what I saw in the project when I did my own research. And I saw that there was a team and there was great art, right? And so I saw things that most people were overlooking. And obviously, Rango now has a really strong community. They're actually one of my favorites. I have like 7 of them, and just the team is so strong. I see Rango all over my timeline. I see people loving it. Right, they love the artist, and they're willing to. Rango as a team basically hasn't launched anything. They've done literally nothing. And the community is still so strong. It's so positive. And part of that is just the belief, right, in the artist and the team to do the right thing, which is great. Love to see that.
That's what's up. I saw you were big into Rango for a while, posting about him and posting yours. I was in and out a few times. Valhalla, sadly, I had 2 of them and I sold one. And hold on one second. Someone just came in here. My little boy's in the room. All right. So I sold one, and the one I sold of the two was like a top 20 rarity.
Ooh. You sold it pre-reveal?
Yeah, pre-reveal, and ended up being top 20 rarity. It sold for like 80th afterward. It was a shame.
So,
it's best not to look back.
Yeah, you're never supposed to look back, Mike. Don't you know the cardinal rule?
I know. I'm really not. But
the funny thing was that was after all that work, I got I used my invites and kind of shared them with Mike and other members of the team, and I made the mistake of forgetting to register my wallet.
Oh my god! You didn't get to mint?
No, but Mike kindly let me have one of his for cost.
Mike's a stand-up guy.
And ironically, it wasn't. I mean, either way, we both sold pre-reveal. So even if it had been the other way around and you transferred me the rare one, it would have been
it would have been gone. And then I would have been able to be like, Ollie, what the fuck, dude?
Oh my god!
I hook you up and you just give it away.
You had a second chance too, right? I forgot which well it was. He dumped like over 100, right? And it was like 0.49, 0.48. And
I remember it came down and came back.
Yeah.
I was already in several ETH. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna buy a couple more. Like, it's just one of those conviction plays, right? And I think I got a little bit of luck, but they had that team there, and I didn't see that they were gonna fail.
I think with projects as well, you can kind of do all your research and kind of they tick all the boxes, but for whatever reason the market doesn't quite kind of see it that way with some projects. I mean, a good example, I don't know if you're that familiar with Fates.
Yeah,
the ones with the pods.
I have like over 10 Fates. That was one of my convictions that did not work out.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's maybe still time. I mean, I was kind of really sold on that. The team really solid, real life studio working on it. I mean, they're in the UK, so it's a plus for me. But I managed to get on the on the early pilot program, so I got to mint. I got to mint one for free, and then I bought quite a few afterwards. And that whole process was great. I mean, we talk about teams not, saying they're going to do things and putting things on a roadmap, but not delivering anything. That the experience of launching your pod and getting to choose your pilot and that whole process of the Exodus kind of process was I was really impressed. That kind of showed me they've got a team that can actually deliver something.
They delivered. They had tons of VC backing.
Yeah, but it's just not gone the way you would have expected with all those things kind of behind it. I mean, I've still got three sets that I'm keeping. But I did sell a few. I mean, I managed to luckily get a couple of fairly rare pilots that I managed to sell. So I'm pretty much free rolling on the ones I've still got. So I've got no kind of need to sell them, especially not at these prices. But
It certainly doesn't look like
shame.
it's taking off, right? That's the thing with conviction plays is I'm right a lot and also wrong a lot. I also went into Fates. I really liked the team. I was an early pilot. I minted for free, and I bought a bunch at like 0.1 or more. So just unfortunate. Same thing with Humankind, if you know that one, the lunch boxes from Pablo Stanley. Like the art is really great. Pablo is such a great guy, right? He was working his ass off for his projects. I loved Robotos back in the day, and Pablo's he's there every single day on Twitter, right, grinding away. He's murals and he's always on Discord and everything, but it just didn't connect, right, with the community.
I almost bought a Roboto at about 0.8, I think. And then I looked the other day and, I mean, in theory, I should look at it and go, well, that's an even better price now. So I should buy one, but haven't pulled the trigger yet. But no, I definitely, he, like you say, he's out there, he's there and he's working. But sometimes
great artist, couldn't connect
kind
with
of die a bit and people kind of move on to other things.
That was probably a timing thing with that one, because in a different time period, in a different market, that could have probably hit a lot better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely bad timing. And also like a lot of these projects, for better or worse, you really need a couple whales to support it, right? Like Valhalla was kind of saved by a bunch of this big money coming in from Asia, and a lot of the like Fates and the Humankind, they just didn't get that whale support. And you kind of need it when you have these collections that are several thousand, right? Like the individual contributors can't sustain it on their own. So you really have to attract that right talent. You need that ding-a-ling sleep. You need that, those Suzuki whales.
No, you do.
Like propel it to the next level. Same thing with even with Bored Apes, right? Like way back when, Pranksy kind of helped make Bored Apes what they were. Eventually dumped them and almost killed it, but
I bought my ape from Pranksy.
That's hilarious. He made the project really popular. Outside of the minters.
Right, bought like 1,100 of them.
Crazy. So
I know that is crazy. So crazy. So those are actually really good perspectives. I love hearing all that. I think that listeners are going to take a lot away. Like one thing to always remember that I've always said is there's always something new coming down the line. So remember the lessons you learned as the other projects go through their life cycles, and be ready for when you see a new opportunity, because that's where the big money's to be made. The money's to be made not chasing everybody else. And like you could buy checks right now and maybe it goes to 5 ETH, but probably not. Like that's just the nature of the game. Maybe they do turn it into something amazing. Like they might, but
I think there's a better opportunity in watching certain projects that have a relatively predictable kind of price action.
Sure.
If you get to know a collection quite well, when it's a good price to buy, and your price point to get out. And there's quite a few of those, around. I mean, I bought 2 Rec Guys after having minted 2 for free and sold them pretty soon after, right before Snoop Dogg changed his PFP. And it went to about 1.5 back then. I bought 2 under one under one and one just over 1, because I knew that was probably going to be a bottom price for that collection. And that, I think, like you've got kind of a strong feeling about the Renga community. I think the Rec Guy community are very strong. There's so many people who are using that as their PFP, and I think OSF at the helm, and
OSF and Mondo are smart guys, right? Yeah,
they really are.
Ali's an OSF fanboy. When we were in London, we went to the party, and he was like, "There he is over there! Like there he is."
I met him that morning. I saw him and recognized him. And obviously he'd been on the show, so he's just a really down to earth guy, and I think he's a great artist, and I think a lot of people have a lot of respect for him, and the way he's kind of gone about things, and the way he's approached his kind of art and his various collections at different kind of price points. Got a lot of time for OSF. So I think that's a really strong community, and I sold one at 1.5 when they last kind of pumped, and I bought two just purely so that I could keep one. I knew if I only bought one, I'd see the price go up, and I couldn't help myself but sell it, and then I'd have none. So I had to buy two, and it worked out pretty well. And I've just kind of reduced my my cost base on the one I'm still holding, and that's the one I'll keep. I've said it now; it's recorded, so
that's a good one.
Tied to it.
Yeah. I'm sure the next checks is right around the corner. Like Mike said, there's always something coming down the pipe.
Always, and that was another thing in tickets. We always say, like, you miss one, on to the next one, because there will be another one. There will be another big pump. Something's
at least once a month, right? Like
pretty much
so early. So early, and there's so much potential just for the technology and for the new people coming in. But I'm sure I'll fuck up the next one, and then
it's impossible to hit something. Yeah, it's impossible to hit something exactly right. It really you got to do your best, do what you think is right, and make the moves.
You hit a couple a year, and really you're solid, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, there were some crazy ones, especially remember when ETH was like 3,000, 4,000, like the sales were crazy.
Oh God, don't remind me. The opportunity cost of what I had.
Oh man. Yeah, let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it right now.
The majority of people that I know didn't sell the top, so that makes me feel better,
nobody
right?
did.
We're all here grinding.
You still have your 8, Matt, or did you sell your 8?
Still have my 8.
You still have your 8. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. It's not your PFP anymore, though, is it? Or is it?
On Twitter it is. On Discord it's not. I like
that's right. Twitter it is. Okay. Yeah. Discord's where I said it wasn't.
But I don't think I could ever sell my 8. It's basically a sunk cost to me now, because I don't think I can part with it. Right? It's part of my identity. It's part of the group.
That's a nice one too, with the gold. Like, what's that? A Hugh Hefner
hip hop
jacket?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what they call it? Hip hop jacket?
Yeah.
With the big grin, that's a nice one, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love my 8, right? I'm so attached to it now, right? That was the genesis of all this NFT hype and craze. Is like NFTs are more than coins, because you can become attached to them. You can use them for IP rights.
Totally.
That's how I feel about my 8. So
do you wish you would have sold it for 500,000?
Not really, because I feel the same way about it like a year. The same way about it now that I do a year or two ago. The only thing I wish is I had kept one more ape that I could have dumped.
I hear that. Profit. I know. Why don't we buy one of them damn things? Yeah, stupid of all of us. Right.
Why the fuck did I only have one? I should have had one to dump that I didn't care about, and one that I love. That's
exactly. One with like one of the blue bonnets or something.
Anything. With the dress. I'll take the bottle. I'll take the crazy eyes. Whatever.
Oh my God. Hey, what's wrong with the crazy eyes? Everyone talks shit about the crazy eyes.
Everyone talks shit about the green background too. Army green. That's what I have.
Yeah. They don't talk. No one talks shit on the army green background.
Yeah,
they do
talk shit. Yeah, they're like, you get dinged a couple ETH in the floor value for having a green. So. Wow. Yeah, no one asked them though. They're wrong. They don't know.
No. That's hilarious. So there's some couple new like Web 2 companies are trying to make a move. GQ. You guys see anything about GQ coming in?
Yeah.
I heard a really good interview. Steve Bark had this dude Kevin, who's like running the GQ thing, in his Twitter space last week, and it was a really good interview. Actually messaged Steve and told him how good it was, like, because they really went back and forth with the guy, and there were a lot of people in the community like, this is what these companies normally do wrong. Don't just come in and try and sell us something. And hopefully, go ahead.
Yeah, I listened in to, they had a spaces when they were first announcing it, and there was you could see a lot of people, a lot of prominent figures in the community were in there listening in, and Keith Grossman was in there talking about it. Obviously, he's at MoonPay now, but he's obviously been kind of.
He's at MoonPay now. I didn't realize.
He went.
He left time.
Wow, so good for him.
Yeah, making big moves. I liked the format of it was they were talking about the artists. So there's going to be a big kind of art influence in whatever, what exactly it is they're doing. They kind of picked some artists from different parts of the world who are going to have their work kind of showcased in the collection. So they kind of introduced them and let them talk a bit about them. I didn't recognize any of the names personally, but I think there may be some that they've had relationships with who've produced art for the magazine. So that's kind of where they're familiar with them. So at least one artist, I think this will be their first NFT, their first work in the NFT space, outside of, doing
That's
kind
great.
of commissions for, GQ and I guess other publications as well. So yeah,
I thought Time did a great job, right? When entering the NFT space and partnering with both regular artists and but magazine artists as well as like Web3 artists. Yeah, I thought they did a great job, even though the floors aren't that great, right?
No.
They produce some great art, and it's not like the floors are wrecked or anything. So
no,
they did.
I think Keith was one of those voices I heard fairly early on, and you could just tell, how all in he was or is, in
Right.
Web3, and the fact that someone with that kind of conviction in something so cutting edge was in a very senior position at a very traditional organization gives you kind of promise that it's only a matter of time before others put people in those kind of positions who can see the potential.
For sure.
I'd like to see one of these companies, like, they need to provide over the top value, way more than you're getting. They really, like, if you're going to come in as a Web2, like, you need to blow it out of the water on your first collection and not just play games and bring in a couple million and say, hey, here's a couple airdrops or whatever. Like, I really
right,
think
and sustain it, right? Like Adidas came in and they had a great drop with Bored Apes and everything, and what did we get? A bunch of fucking marshmallow pillow wearables, right? And
exactly.
They really dropped the ball.
It took over a year to get the tracksuits out.
Yeah, really disappointing. They didn't, like, I'm a big guy, I'm a 3XL, and they ended up not even being able to produce a 3XL, even though they're the second biggest clothing company in the nation or the world. So they sent me 2XLs, and they said, "Oh, sorry,
sew them together."
Yeah, not very, and they had a price tag on it, like the tag like you'd see in a retailer of $40. So I paid fucking 1 Ether for a $40 tracksuit. Like, come on, guys.
That was a real shame. I mean, I had the POAP. Unfortunately, I found, because they did the snapshot. They didn't tell anyone. They just announced it afterwards when they'd taken the snapshot. And mine was listed, my POAP that gave you the allow list, sold about 2 hours before the snapshot. And no one knew when it was. So I could have got two, they were 0.2 each, if I remember rightly, and you could mint
something
two.
Like that,
You had that. Yeah. So, and they hit over an ETH pretty quick, didn't they? I think.
I think they did. Yeah, I think I sold one of my two at that.
But I think I did as well. Yeah,
they showed such potential. They were in spaces. They were talking to people. They had, G Funk, I think, was in there, wasn't he? He was involved as well.
G Money, right?
G Money, sorry, G Money. Yeah. And
Pixel, I think, was involved, right? So it was Pixel and Bored Apes.
Yeah,
and
Pixel.
They had some big names.
They did. Yeah. I actually really like the orange Scully, the skull cap.
Yeah,
the skull's
really
great.
That. Yeah, that is really nice. Like, that's
the yellow tracksuit. I mean,
maybe I know, bright yellow tracksuit. Yeah,
I remember seeing someone who had about. There was someone in the UK who had about, I think they had 6 sets of the tracksuits, and they basically put a post out on Twitter saying, if I can find 5 other people, I'll give you the tracksuit if you come to whatever city they lived in, and basically go on a pub crawl, all wearing the tracksuits. I didn't see whether it actually went through with it, but that's
the flight's more than the tracksuit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Web 2 coming into Web 3. There's so much potential, but yeah, like Mike said, they really got to knock it out of the park. And Adidas, was one of those that just did not.
It's going to be interesting to see how Nike plays out. I've got my
with Artifact
to Dot Swoosh.
Oh yeah,
so they launched their own creator kind of project not entirely sure what it's going to be. They've been doing some kind of in real life events in various places, and in theory, the idea is that people can design their own shoes, and those will be collectibles that people can buy who have got access to the marketplace. It's still in kind of early access at the moment. There's nothing really there. I think they did say February was going to be the first release of whatever that might be. But
they have 1 week to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah, no pressure, no pressure.
Yeah, hopefully they do something, and hopefully we just see more companies from Web 2 coming in and experimenting, and knock it out of the park.
That we're definitely going to see. We're definitely going to see more. They really need to step it up. Someone's going to kill it and do really well, and then other companies will follow suit. Like, I always picture, like, if it's Budweiser, like, you should be sending people cases of beer. If there's a new product, send it to your holders. Like things like that. I don't know, like.
Yeah, like a new release membership token, right?
Right.
That would
and every
be cool.
time something new comes out, you get first taste, and like there's lots they can do.
Instead, what they give us, like glasses, right? Like everyone is approaching Web3 really cautiously and very small at the moment, which is still cool. Still nice to see these brands like experiment, but it'd be nice to see some of them come in a big way with something innovative and something new.
The biggest red flag to me is when they don't post on their main account. Is when they make up like a new account, Yeah,
like they're too embarrassed to tell their real fans about
what they know what's going to happen is, and this does happen, they get blasted. And you just have to eat it. You have to you have to tell people. Some people are just still going to hate it, but like they do. If a regular company says anything about NFTs, people, it's such a scam,
Yeah, I'm never buying from you again.
Yeah, exactly. I'm selling all my stuff. Yeah.
And that's the mainstream media. I mean, every time I go and visit my parents, my mum's cut something out of a newspaper, and it's about NFTs, and it's either about someone getting their ape stolen or whatever.
Exactly.
I read these articles because I think, well, she's gone to the effort of cutting it out for me to read, and I read it, but it's so clear it's come from a perspective of
it's just biased and misinformed, right?
And the unfortunate thing is that this is where they've got millions of readers, and everyone who reads that, that's the impression they're getting, because there's not anything out there in the mainstream media showing the kind of positives. It's all about the negative things that happen.
There's a couple like Gary V, but there's not enough of them.
True.
Not nearly enough to drown out all the hate, but people will start to navigate around it, right? Just like Reddit did. That's what I believe. And Instagram, I think both did a great job, right? They called them digital collectibles. They kind of buried the whole NFT part, and they just said, these are digital collectibles from artists. You can buy them, and you can, you can show them off and such. And that'll have to be the approach, right? To bring in new people.
Definitely.
Yeah. Starbucks also, I've said this a bunch of times, but they're crushing it. What they're doing, where they're doing their
Odyssey is
program.
great.
Yeah, Odyssey's amazing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was an early tester,
so I'm gonna have to wait a while.
You gotta wait a little bit.
They give you tasks to perform, and then if you perform a bunch of tasks like in a series, then you get a NFT like badge, and then you can trade those badges. And I sold my probably a mistake, but I sold my OG Starbucks badge for like $1,000. I mean, that's awesome.
That's wild, bro. That's insane. No, that's crazy. Yeah.
Right?
Is that on Nifty
that's
Gateway?
Real value. It's on Nifty Gateway.
The marketplace.
There's a bunch of them now, but like the OG Starbucks one that you could only get if you were like a beta tester, and it was a limited time. They had me like I was going to Starbucks every single day. Like, gotta get a coffee, gotta check out the box off, right? I was buying gift cards. So I mean, they got my business, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. So he spent $1,500 in coffee and got $1,000 NFT.
Probably. I mean, imagine they bring that to the masses, right? Like, even if you get a $50 NFT for buying coffee, once a week, like, that's awesome. You're delivering value, and you're getting people addicted to coffee. It's great.
Yeah, no, they're definitely crushing it.
It's such a straightforward move to just transition your existing loyalty program into NFTs.
And if you don't want to engage with it, you don't have to, right? Exactly. It's totally optional. which is great. People can't get mad about that. Like, if you want to get free money, you're free to, and if you don't want to engage with it, you just want to keep getting your stars, that's totally fine too.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how you're gonna help mass adoption, is people not knowing that they're interacting with the blockchain.
Exactly.
Totally. I mean, that's one of the reasons Top Shot initially did so well, because you didn't really have to know you're interacting with the blockchain. You're just trading these moments.
Yep.
Us real degens, we were like, oh, gotta MetaMask and signing contracts. And
Top Shot was great.
Cash, Yeah.
Open a pack and lose money.
Yeah, not at first. Open a pack and you're crushing it. Yeah.
Open a pack and you make free 4x, right?
Yeah, at least. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
wasn't too late, but I sold too late.
I was definitely too late. sold. I pretty much sold all of mine. Yeah.
I mean, unfortunate how it turned out, but the start of it was really great, right? They onboarded these masses of people who only cared about NBA. They didn't care about the blockchain, and it was easy to buy, sell, trade.
Yep.
They just got too greedy.
I still have a bunch of LeBrons that I bought in my time. I think they're down from where I bought them, but I'm going to hold on till he goes to the Hall
don't
of
check
Fame.
the price. You just wait it out.
I know. I'm just going to wait it out at this point. And if there's anyone to have, it's LeBron,
Yeah, at some point when he retires or whatever else, they will go up.
Yeah, I think so. Friday night, I went to a Magic City Apes party. You guys know what the Magic City Apes is? Probably not too. Now, there's like 75 of us, really great people. Group of Bored Apes, down here in South Florida. A lot of people you would know are in the group. Anyone that lives in South Florida, and they had a party. It was at South Florida Distillery. It was open bar. They brought in like Anthony's coal-fired pizza, all these pizza, wings, salads, like free whatever. There was a lot of Bored Ape merchandise there. The Bored Brewers, a dude that was doing the AR filters, Bored Chemo. He gave me like my filter of my Bored Ape, and I could like talk and stick my tongue out. I got this
That's awesome.
coloring book. Check out this coloring book. It's all these different
That's so
apes,
cool.
Apes and mutants. There's like, I don't know, there's 100 pages, and like on the back it says who's each one is. And I was actually the first ever in-person order, so I got it autographed.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's a really cool coloring book for sure. For the kids are gonna love it. And
I love physical merch. Like a lot of people don't, right? That's the whole point of NFTs. But I like getting, a coloring book or a T-shirt every now and again. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Just no more black hoodies. If anybody's doing merch,
no more black hoodies.
It's ridiculous.
You were too late. You missed your Rec Guy hoodie.
Yeah,
you left me and Confused Degen.
They gave out the hoodies there.
Well, no, they were meant to be keeping them to the end of the night.
You said, and you asked, you like begged for it.
We said we had to grab a train, and luckily they managed to. We were literally downstairs digging through boxes with the guy trying to find our size. But free hoodie can't go wrong.
No.
Yeah, that was
their merch is expensive. They announced like you got like a discount for being a holder, and I went on the website, and it was still like it was very expensive merchandise.
Is it a black hoodie?
I'm sure it was a black hoodie.
If so, then never again. Yeah, enough for a lifetime. Even Artifact, right? They hyped all this shit up. Brand new clothing reveal, and what the hell is it? It's a black hoodie. I was like, really? Really? I mean, it's high quality, right? I actually got one because I was a holder at the time. And I mean, the hoodie's good quality, but like, how many black hoodies can I possibly wear in a lifetime?
Yeah, too many. My favorite is my, I have a Gary V Staple Pigeon, Jeff Staple gray hoodie. That's my favorite NFT merch.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, he's like a designer, right? So
yeah, Jeff, exactly.
Yeah, it's got to make high quality merch.
Yeah, it's a really nice hoodie. What else do we say? So we're recording today is February 20th in the afternoon, and we just got word actually before we started up that Proof of Conference, they canceled it. Moonbirds, Proof Collective canceled their Las Vegas conference.
And it was in LA. I was ready to go.
Oh yeah, LA. I said Las Vegas, Los Angeles. You were ready to go? Oh really?
Yeah, pretty disappointing.
Did you have your ticket?
I bought my ticket, so I guess I'm getting a refund.
Yeah, they said they already processed it, so make sure you got that.
Oh, great. I'll take my free money now.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of outrage from what I'm
Is
seeing,
there?
right?
People are. I haven't
Not-
even started digging in yet.
It's a lot more than the fact that the conference was canceled, right? It's more of like a series of missteps in the last couple of weeks, from the proof pass having an expiration date that most people didn't know
that's
about.
messed up. That's messed up. Yeah.
So there's a finite number of drops left on it before it's essentially worthless or transferred.
Yeah,
to a
they
new
made it
pass or
sound good.
something.
They're like, yeah, it's going to sunset. They try and make it sound gentle.
And then you have the mythicals from Moonbirds that I thought was coming in January or February, but obviously not. So there's a lot of anger and disappointment with that community right now. And this is just the latest, right, of a series of disappointments. So people are not thrilled.
Yeah, you're a Moonbird?
Yeah, I have a Moonbird. I'm not thrilled. I'm probably down over 20 ETH, but I have one and a half.
High. Yeah.
I bought somewhat high, and one I shared with a friend as it was crashing.
Okay.
Right, we thought it was a good deal, and
we
bought one at 13. Like, how much lower could it go? And turns out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just disappointing, right? Given the potential, given the talent that works there. I mean,
I know.
They really haven't produced too much yet.
You got a fanny pack, so that's
got a fanny pack, and I got
at least it wasn't a black
infinite objects.
Yeah,
and I got a capital loss of 20 grand.
Okay. Could be worse. I mean,
yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I understand why people are disappointed, and I sure am disappointed by just the whole process, right? Why were the tickets even 0.75 ETH to begin with?
Yeah.
And just a bunch of other missteps that make people lose trust in the whole ecosystem. So I don't really know where it goes from here, right? Like, how are they going to gain people's trust again?
Because what are they, like, in all honesty, like I've always thought, like, what are they really doing other than like the speculation, and like they haven't really done much. Everyone says, well, the tech, and okay, so you could nest your Moonbird, I guess. Like, I don't know.
If there was rewards for it, right? There was supposed to be a coin coming, and gold and silver nest would get these big rewards. And if they dropped like an ape type thing, everyone would be happy, right? You get a couple $1,000 dropped to your wallet, the floor maintains, everyone's happy. But instead, it's just been like delay, disappointment, letdown, and so it's really hard in the NFT space to recover from that.
Yeah. And a lot of it, one of the things that happened right after they launched, they went up to like 40 ETH. And then I was going to talk about Ryan Carson in this, because I know Ollie is kind of a big Ryan Carson fan, but he's also had his own troubles recently. And I'd love to get your perspective on Ryan, because, I'm not, I don't know. He doesn't I've heard some inconsistencies, and he's a very smooth talker. He's like a politician. Like he could talk his way out of anything. He really is. But just to hold the way. Go ahead.
I remember when the Daily Dose kind of popped up and it was running the spaces, I started listening into those quite a lot. I mean, I was collecting the POAPs from kind of, I think probably November last year. I started, that was when there was kind of 500 or so at a time before they hit, sort of 2,500 a release and things. And I vaguely remembered that obviously there was some FUD about the way that things ended at Moonbirds. And then obviously he started his own fund. And I guess people just people do what they do in the space, and they just kind of forget about things. And, someone pops up and they, they just kind of go along with things. But, I thought he was doing a good service of kind of bringing up good topics, mainly because of the people he had on. I mean, I had a lot of time for Clemente, kind of co-hosting the show. And
Clemente's over on he's with Nick and Pio now. I know.
Head of growth.
Yeah. I know. I saw that. Keep going, but I just wanted to throw that in. Yeah.
That was the thing for me when all of that came out. And I kind of looked straight away, went to Clemente's Twitter to see, and there was no posts, no nothing. So I was wondering at that point what was going to happen. And then obviously early the following week, he obviously put a post out that he was leaving the show. And I kind of figured he was going to land somewhere. So it's good to see him kind of turn up at the Nifty. I think that was a good move for him, because you feel like someone like that's put a lot of time and effort, and they've kind of tied themselves to a figure, and you feel for them when things don't go the way they were planned. So it was good to see he's kind of managed to land on his feet, and he's kind of moved elsewhere.
He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
I actually met Ryan Carson at the Moonbird event in New York, like during Ape Fest last year. I think he's like, when we met him, he was a super smart guy. The Moonbird event was great, right? So the coordination and everything was great. And Ryan was super nice. He was super sharp. I think like the thing that we were talking about is just that his Twitter was, even back then, right? People kind of had made fun of his Twitter as out of touch, or as like, he was not the best at tweeting. And so, yeah, now with this latest situation, it seems to have only gotten worse, right? So it's just an odd situation, because in person, he was a super nice guy, obviously is passionate about Web3. And has a ton of connections right within the space and outside the space. But Flux, right, the project he launched, was not handled properly whatsoever. A lot of rightful backlash, and so it's just a really odd situation. I'm not involved, right? It doesn't affect me. I'm not invested in Flux, and I probably won't be. So it's just a passive observer. But they're not handled very well.
No, not handled well. And then he announced that he bought 15 ordinal punks, and he had to delete that message. Why do you have to delete it? Was he just getting shit on?
I think he said he bought 15 rare ones, but he bought it directly from the creator. And I think the creator of the ordinal punks fucked him over and gave him some like shitty punks, or like some, I don't know exactly what happened, but something went down where whatever.
And people were like, yo, these aren't rare. Like, you got, oh God. What
or
a
like
nightmare.
He sold the rare ones. So I forgot exactly what happened, but something happened where the deal, like the deal didn't go through his plan because the creator fucked him.
Wow.
So he had to delete all those things he was bragging about because it didn't happen.
Oh my God.
Like deleting them actually gets rid of them.
I know. He can't keep his foot out of his mouth right now. Like he's got to. That Twitter space, now that they stopped doing POAPs, it went from like 2,500 people down to like 800 people, which is still a lot.
It's still a lot. I mean,
who knows how many are bots or whatever? Because that's what people always.
Right.
I don't know how to tell, but that's what people.
That's what I was impressed by. Right. Like.
He had
exactly. A couple thousand people fast
every day. Yeah, constantly, and going up against Rug Radio and everything. Yeah, for sure. That was.
He's done everything possible to destroy that.
Yeah. One other piece of news. This isn't actually necessarily NFTs, but it was pretty crazy. Did you guys see, Jeff Koons, the guy that makes those like balloon dogs and they sell for like $100,000. There was an art show in Miami, and one of them was knocked over and smashed on the floor. It was
God.
It was like a $75,000 sculpture. Some lady touched it and it fell over. It was like,
break it, you buy it, or what's the deal?
I don't know. Like they, the article I read, it was like she was like mortified and was trying to leave, and I don't know if they make her pay for it. You can't make someone pay. I guess you could sue them. Like she could be sued, but like otherwise, like how could they make her pay? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't force her to pay 75.
Right?
Grand,
F you. Make another one. Make another one. It's a stupid looking balloon animal.
That's hilarious. I missed that. That's funny.
Yeah, that happened just over the weekend. Pretty wild.
Maybe it should have been protected a little better. Yeah. I don't know.
So before we wrap it up, let me give you guys a chance to shout out any artist that you think needs some light shined on them. Whoever wants to go first. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I have to think. You go first.
Okay. I know Ollie's got a whole load of them, probably. Ollie's got a load.
There's not enough time to talk about all of the artists I've been collecting from. I realized my
no bag pumping. No, I'm only joking.
No. So a couple of people I've collected from recently. There's an artist called Iwan. I'll share the Twitter handle is different, so I'll send that over to you so you can pop it in the show notes. But I came across them. They had a couple of kind of big collectors collect some pieces of their work. They kind of graphite pencil, really detailed kind of drawings with kind of some really nice touches in. They're from Indonesia, and kind of came across their work and put a bid in and won a piece from them, and they're actually shipping over, in the process of shipping over the original hand drawing to me. Cool. So I'm getting a copy of that as well. They're really impressive work. And there's a photographer as well called Eamon, who is I'm in quite a few Twitter kind of artist collectors kind of groups. So I kind of find out a lot of people through there who are kind of part of those groups, and found him through Cowboy Killer, who's a photographer, guy called Joey from the US. Really good. I've got some of his pieces as well, but Eamon's from that group and kind of runs with Joey, and fantastic photographer in his own right. So collected some of his work as well. So they're two that spring to mind.
Nice. Love it.
Just kind of looking through my collection. Obviously, I've been a Lucrez fan for a long time, and now he doesn't, he's finally made it to the mainstream, so he doesn't need a shout out, but really cool to see him kind of make it to the big leagues. And I just have a bunch of Tezos art from a bunch of great artists. Gary Blum is a photographer that I really like. And then I found some new artists just from this like OE trend, right? Like a bunch of the OEs went to zero, but then there was a bunch of like new artists that just came out of nowhere that I got introduced from these OEs, which is pretty cool. Bongdo was one of them. BONG. Yeah, you know him. Yeah, I really like his art. It was also on Tezos, which is interesting. A lot of great artists, coming from Tezos. Guido, I found through a bunch of these OEs, and he has some really great photography. And Maju is one of the maybe lesser known ones. MUHJU, some really interesting like Greek inspired, seems like. I don't even know what you call it, right? It's not photography. There's just like they're like illustrations, and they're really gorgeous. I really like the work coming from him as well. So a bunch of really cool artists.
Nice. Love that. This is really fun, guys. We had a good show. I'm still going to do the NFT collection vibes, but I just want to thank you guys. This was really fun for me to talk to two friends and to hear a different perspective, not like an artist or a founder, just kind of like degens basically, and got really good perspectives from you guys. And hopefully we'll do something like this again. It was really fun. But
thanks for having us, Mike. This was lots of fun.
Cool. That's a pleasure. Thanks for saying yes. And I appreciate both of you guys and look forward to, working together and building friendships over the years. It's good stuff. What we normally do to finish out these episodes is go over the top NFT collectible sales, the collection rankings by sales volume over the last 7 days. And there's actually an anomaly at the top of this one, and maybe you guys heard of this, but Mech Minds. Do you know Mech Minds?
I think I heard about this just before I came on the pod. If I remember rightly, they had a single, something like 225,000 ETH sale.
Yeah, they had one sale that was that much.
Sale,
okay,
and then it suddenly started pumping. Okay. I think that is the one that someone shared with me.
For some reason they have 211 million in sales volume.
That is one transaction, and then a load of degens. Yeah,
because the floor price is still 05. So I was like, it just didn't make sense. But that does make sense. So they somebody kind of set it up just to.
I think that if it's the one I'm thinking of, that is
okay. Probably right.
What it is.
And so that's number one on here. Number two is Other Deed at 64 million, Mutant Apes at 47. There's actually pretty high volume this week. I know a lot of that has to do with the blur farming. Moonbirds at 33 million, Azuki, Bored Ape Yacht Club at 31, the Beans, number 7 at 26. So Azuki, 2 of the top 7. Doodles, Clone X, and the Checks finish it off at 18 million in volume in the last week. So Rare is outside of the first 10 for top 10 for the first time in a while. And all of the top 10 is Ethereum. And the first non-Ethereum is Gods Unchained at 27. And the first Solana is DGods at 33. So Ethereum is really crushing. Blockchains by sales volume over 7 days. Ethereum is 765 million and Solana is 19 million. Polygon 9 million. So like ETH is crushing these blockchains right now. Tezos is only 218,000 over the last 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah, no idea.
I was probably 1,000 of that.
That's really surprisingly low. That's crazy.
Volume of theirs dipped off a cliff because, I mean, one of the main reasons to be collecting on Tezos was the fact that it was green, right? It wasn't bad for the environment like ETH was. And now that it's not, there's not a lot of differentiators there.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, I think that's about it for episode 124. This was an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I love you guys. I hope to see you soon and we can get together. There's a Metaverse, NFT Miami's coming up. I doubt anyone's coming down for that, but feel free. I'll show you around.
If Ape Fest is in Miami, for sure, I'll see you there.
Ape Fest, okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. How about VCon? Any chance on VCon?
In Miami?
No, it's in May. It's in Indianapolis.
Maybe.
You're
I'm
like,
not a holder,
Indianapolis. I don't know. Well,
yeah,
they sell the. You can end up
great.
getting the tickets for like a quarter ETH though.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I heard the conference was amazing last year, so
it was really good.
Possibility.
It was really good. Cool. Well, that's going to be it for this episode 124. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you on the next one. The next one's actually a really good one. We got, I don't want to even say who it is. Hopefully it comes through. I have a really good artist and his brother for the next one, which I'm really excited about. But we will see all you guys on the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.